The shocking truth about surrender, biblical revelations that will haunt you forever. In a small town where whispers carried like fire through dried leaves, the air thickened with a reality so twisted, it clutched at the throat of anyone who dared breathe too deep. Surrender wasn't just a concept here, it was an all-consuming force, rooted deep in history, laden with secrets that rattled the souls of the unsuspecting. This town, cloaked in shadows, held on to the biblical past as tightly as a child clings to a worn-out teddy bear. Every corner seemed to hold its breath. An old church, with peeling paint and crumbling stones, stood silently at the heart of the town. Legends swirled in the faded whispers of its original congregation, immortalized hymns entwined with haunting cries. It was said the stained glass windows, with their colorful depictions of biblical stories, shifted perspective at dusk, revealing messages that only the brave could decipher. Anasol, the town visionary, had seen them, the words, the warnings, glinting ominously in pools of holy light. The townspeople dubbed him a madman. Yet, behind his wild eyes lay insights no sane person would dare admit existed. As dusk approached, the church loomed larger, casting a long shadow over the worn path leading to it. With every step, the crackling footsteps echoed an ominous reminder that surrendering to the stories of the past would consume all who listened. The air crackled with some unseen energy, pricking at the back of their necks, leaving them to wonder, what truths lay hidden, just out of reach. And just when audiences thought they understood this age-old tale, another layer peeled back, an event so startling, it sparked gasps from the crowd. "Can you feel that?" someone whispered, as the sky darkened above like an omen. What were they overlooking? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Suddenly, isolation enveloped them as the moon peeked out, illuminating everything in an eerily beautiful glow. With shadows dancing in every corner, the night echoed with the soft murmurs of the forgotten souls. The townspeople felt a chill that sank deeper than skin. What else was hidden in the darkness? Was it truly the past speaking, or something more sinister? The unsettling truth was palpable, drawing them further and pushing them into mysteries and secrets they couldn't comprehend, yet couldn't turn away from. By the time the church bell tolled, the question hung like an uninvited guest in the air: what had they awakened, and could they handle the surrendering truths that were yet to come? The night air grew heavier as the church bells echoed like a death knell, reverberating in the bones of the townspeople. Hearts raced, thumping against ribcages as they stood frozen in place. What they hoped was only a trick of their imagination twisted into palpable dread. From the shadows, Anasol stepped forward, his eyes sparkling with wild intensity. "They're here," he whispered, but it felt like a shout. "The ancients, they're reaching for us." Gasps resonated through the crowd, rippling like a wave. Some turned to flee, but the grip of something heavier than fear held them in a cocoon of terror. An electric chill spiraled up their spines as a flicker of light danced in the stained glass. It was a subtle shift, but the images began to bleed into one another, parables twisting into distortions, words reshaping into warnings. "Look!" a villager pointed, his voice a hoarse blend of panic and disbelief. "Do you see it?" The vibrant colors of the glass seemed to scream, forming shadows that stretched into grotesque shapes. Biblical figures morphed and twisted, their hands raised not in blessing but in desperation. The sight left voices trembling and skin prickling. "What does it mean?" someone asked, their voice barely a whisper. "Everything they told us, it's a lie," Anasol breathed, almost reverently. "Surrendering isn't strength, it's a trap." A sense of urgency rippled through the group, but uncertainty lingered. They had lived with the town's tales woven into their every decision. Had the stories always been more than mere tales of caution? Questions bled into their minds like ink into water, darkening their judgment. Then, a piercing shriek shattered the spell, cutting through the heavy silence. All heads snapped in the direction of the sound. A young girl, her eyes wide with terror, pointing to the church's entrance. There, standing against the wooden doorframe, a shadowy figure loomed. It was indistinct but unmistakably human. As it stepped forward, an unnatural breeze swept through the group, extinguishing the flickering lanterns. Darkness exploded at their feet, racing toward them, pulling at their souls. The shadow moved, revealing a face they recognized but couldn't fully comprehend. It was someone they thought lost, someone who had vanished years ago under mysterious circumstances. The town's very own Jeremiah, rumored to have been taken by the darkness. The memories tied to his disappearance surged like waves, drowning them in disbelief. Jeremiah? Onisal uttered, his voice cracking. You were dead. Laughter, hollow and terrifying, erupted from the figure. Dead? Or merely transformed? This town's surrender has given rise to so much more. With a grotesque smile, he extended a hand, beckoning them closer into the veil of night. The townspeople faltered, wrestling with the intoxicating pull of familiarity mingled with unspeakable fear. Could it be true? Had they actually orchestrated their own forgetfulness? The combined past and present in that moment felt like a tipping point, the edge of enlightenment or doom. A mass of emotions washed over them, and as they hesitated, the ground trembled beneath their feet, a harbinger of a choice they hadn't even realized lay before them. What have we truly awakened? Someone finally asked, the question echoing, piercing the night like a bolt of lightning. The answer loomed larger than life, waiting just out of reach. In that moment, they each faced the terrifying realization that sometimes surrender didn't mean giving in, it meant facing the deepest horrors they had locked away. As the darkness beckoned, they had to decide, cling to the familiar shadows or plunge into revelations that could either save the town or spell its end. But little did they know, true horror wasn't just around the corner. It was already inside them. What would they choose when the whispers of the forgotten beckoned? The shadows danced like flames, flickering eerily as anxiety thrummed through the townsfolk. Their breaths formed clouds in the frigid air, each exhale a mix of dread and disbelief. Was it really him? Was Jeremiah somehow alive, or had they wandered into a warped version of reality? Jeremiah! A voice cracked in the crowd, cutting through the tension. Eyes stared expectantly, noses almost touching the fading light of the sconces. His smile grew wider, darker. You want answers. The truths you buried are clawing their way back. This town thrives on ignorance, but ignorance is a cocoon that's fading fast. With each word, dread settled heavier on their shoulders, a thick blanket of despair wrapping tightly. Some stumbled back, hands trembling as they clutched one another for support. Others, propelled by a mixture of hope and horror, edged closer, drawn into the magnetic pull of the impossible. Stop! A woman shouted, her voice pushed up by the strength of desperation. This can't be true. You're not him. Jeremiah's laughter twisted into the night, a haunting melody that sent shivers racing down spines. Oh, but I am, and more. You thought you could forget what has been done, what was awakened. But the ancients thrive in your silence. They fed on your fear. Tonight, you will choose which history to embrace. The ground shook again, this time with more intensity, rattling the stones beneath their feet. Panic set in, fraying their nerves like the flickering lanterns that now seemed futile against the encroaching dark. There's no clarity in surrender, remember? Onisal ventured cautiously, stepping forward. Jeremiah, if you were transformed, what happened to your soul? Are you, a vessel for them? The shadows behind Jeremiah shifted, undulating as if whispering secrets, echoes of lives lost, pain woven through with forgotten dreams. Vessel? I am both your past and future. What you call a soul has evolved, and now it pines for release. Guilt crept in, slithering through the minds of those bearing the weight of their own choices. How many lives had they led astray in their quest for peace, their insistence upon turning away? Is surrender the only way? A young man spat, bitterness lacing each syllable. Have we really surrendered? Can we turn back? Jeremiah's eyes glimmered ominously. Turning back. No, my friend, your true surrender lies ahead. Embrace the past buried deep, learn what has been sealed away. But, beware, not all truths are kind. Some will break you. The crowd swayed, minds racing, heartbeats drumming like war drums. The shadows curled around them, tightening their grip, seductively whispering dark promises. Choose. Jeremiah bellowed, his voice rising, strong and predatory. Do you cling to shadows that rot your very souls, or dare to face what lies beneath? This is your reckoning. They stood frozen, a knot of uncertainty as Jeremiah's figure flickered, growing ever more shadowy. Each heartbeat echoed the dilemma pulsing through their chests, trusting in the known or tearing down the walls of their fragile existence to see the truth bared in blinding light. Above, the moon hung shrouded, losing its luster as the town's choice loomed larger than night itself. And then, from the depths of darkness, a new scream pierced the air, a voice they all recognized, someone they had forgotten but never truly lost. Help me. I'm here. They won't let me go. Hope and terror intertwined as they turned toward the source of the cry. Could it be? What other secrets waited to be unshackled? As uncertainty simmered, the line between what they believed and their deepest fears began to blur, and the shadows whispered of the price that would be paid. What lay ahead would shatter them or awaken something greater, but would they have the courage to confront it? The crowd shifted restlessly, eyes darting toward the depths of the shadowy woods where the scream had erupted. The chill in the air seemed to thicken, wrapping around their throats like a noose. Who is that? A voice trembled from the outskirts. Is someone out there? Another added, fear hitching in their throats. Jeremiah grinned, a sneer beneath the pale glimmer of the moonlight. Do you hear it? A desperate soul, begging for freedom, just like your own. His words unfurled, heavy with a tangible weight that pressed against them. Come back. A voice surged through the anxious murmur, a plea, raw and desperate. Don't listen to him. It's a trick. But doubts clouded their minds. Could it be a trick? The sweet fruit of hope dangled tantalizingly from the darkness. Could they trust their own ears? The shadows whispered, coaxing them toward the abyss. Each minute they hesitated felt like a century, the moment stretching under the weight of their indecision. Let me go. The voice cried again, more urgent, cracking like glass. I can't hold on much longer. Anisal felt a tug in his chest, a longing to leap, to dash into the woods and find the source of that tortured cry. But how could he leave the others? How could he abandon the only thread of hope left to them? Jeremiah, what is happening? He shouted, desperation surging through his veins. Who is calling for help? Who indeed? Jeremiah's voice dropped lower, seductive, as if he were sharing a secret. It could be the ones you wronged or the ones you forgot. What are you willing to give up to know the truth? Sacrifice is the path to illumination. As if summoned, two figures appeared between the trees, flickers of movement, shadows that danced just beyond the reach of light. Familiar shapes shifting, faces cloaked in darkness and mystery. The crowd gasped collectively, those forms stung like nettles against their skin, reminders of a history they wished to forget. There she was. A ghost of the past. A woman, her eyes filled with terror. Help. I'm here. Is that? Someone stammered, frozen with disbelief. Emily. Anisal shouted, a whirlwind of emotion whirling through him, a cocktail of relief, dread, and anxiety mixing chaotically. He took a step forward, willing his legs to move faster. The shadows twisted, lurching forward like a hungry maw, swallowing Emily's desperate cries. You have to wake up. Please. Don't let it take me. The town assembled at the edge of horror, caught in a paradox. Should they embrace the nightmare or hold tightly to the flicker of faith? The air hissed around them, a siren call echoing against the darkness. Jeremiah's laughter rumbled, a low growl that reverberated through the crumbling alleys of human conscience. You can't save her if you remain shackled by your fears. Recognize what binds you: fear or love, ignorance or truth. Make your choice. The dread pooled in Onisol's stomach. Could he abandon his past again? What price lay ahead? Would confronting it force him into a dark chasm, or could it be the key to free Emily and himself? Time slowed, stretching into a gaping maw of uncertainty. He glanced back at the townsfolk. Their faces swirled with conflict, fear blanketing hope, doubt constricting resolve. "Emily, hang on!" Onisol yelled, determination igniting a fire in his chest. "I'm coming for you." As he ran toward the darkness, shadows clawed at his heels, and the voices of the ancients echoed in his ears. Choose wisely. There was no turning back, only the path stretched wide ahead, filled with shadows and truths waiting to be unveiled, truths that held the power to either fracture their reality or set them free. What lay in those woods? More revelations or horrors long forgotten? Would he dare to step into the abyss, or would the darkness consume them all? Onisol dashed into the darkness, limbs pumping, heart racing, the pulse of the night echoing in his ears. Emily's figure trembled just beyond his sight, a wisp of hope tangled in the creeping dread. Every breath was a struggle against the cloying shadows that sought to ensnare him. "Emily!" he shouted, his voice cracking with desperation. The wilderness swallowed his words, leaving only the chilling rustle of leaves and the sinister whisper of wind weaving through the trees. Each step forward twisted his stomach into knots. It felt like running through water, a thick, suffocating force trying to drag him back. But he couldn't let fear anchor him, he had to reach her. He had to believe she was more than just a mirage conjured by Jeremiah's cruelty. A flicker of movement caught his eye. Was it a trick? No. A figure, small and trembling, stumbled through the underbrush. "Help me!" Emily cried again, her voice a singed ember in the consuming darkness. "I'm almost there," Onisol urged, but the shadows tightened around him, clawing at the edges of his sanity. The faces of townsfolk flickered in his mind, an unsteady blend of hope and despair, eyes wide with horror and guilt at their own inaction. The trees crowded in, closing him off, every branch a blackened finger pointing the way to long-buried regrets. Whispers of his past echoed in his head, the arguments, the anger, the decisions he wished to forget. Each reminder surfacing like a ghost, pulling him down into a well of remorse. "Onisol!" Her voice was stronger now, raw with an urgency that tore at his heart. "Please. I need you to wake me from this nightmare." Though each word was a blade through his chest, it fueled his resolve. "Hold on, Emily. I'm coming. Just hold on." He forced his way deeper into the woods, determination igniting a fire in him that battled against the frigid grip of despair. Suddenly, the shadows surged, and Jeremiah's laughter bounced off the trees like shards of glass. "Do you hear that, Onisol? Your past calls to you, dragging you back. You must choose: accept them or lose her forever." "No!" Onisol roared, pushing past the latest wave of darkness. "I want to let you take her again." But doubt gnawed at him. Could he truly face the ghosts that haunted him? An anguished scream erupted from the depths of the woods, Emily's voice, distorting into something unrecognizable. Terror shot through him as he stumbled to a halt. The grass beneath his feet felt alive, shifting as if the ground itself were actively conspiring against him. The whispers morphed into a cacophony, voices merging into a frightening symphony, so many faces, all the moments he wished away. "Onisol!" The whisper curled around him, intimate and taunting. It was her voice, but twisted, woven through memories he had pushed aside. "Why did you leave me?" A cold rush of realization clutched at him, as tight as the vines around his ankles. "No. I tried to save you." Tears stung his eyes, unbridled emotions threatening to fracture him. The shadows swarmed, a black tide rising as Emily's image flickered, dissolving into an indistinct blur. "In your indecision, you lose her. The choice is yours." Jeremiah's voice boomed through the obsidian night, vibrating through every nerve in Anasol's body. Desperation surged anew. He remembered her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled with life, a life he had let slip through his fingers. If this was about sacrifice, then what must he give? His heart raced with the knowledge that the answer was buried in the very essence of his fear. He took a deep breath, steeling himself against the rising dread. Then I will face them. I'll own my choices. I will save you. He shouted into the void, conviction driving each word. The shadows recoiled as if burned. For an instant, light flickered around him, a mere whisper of hope flashing violently against the dark. But would it be enough? Will you face the truth of your past, Anasol? Or will you let it consume you? Jeremiah's mocking tone danced in the air, a reminder that this was only the beginning. As the darkness surged once more, Anasol felt the tendrils of the woods closing in on him, ancient and relentless. What awaited him in the heart of that darkness? Would he truly confront the demons of his past, or would they claim him forever? The shadows pulled him deeper into the unknown. Anasol plunged into the blackness, knowing that fear and anger were useless weights dragging him down. He felt the soft earth beneath his sneakers, each footfall sinking into a world of memories he hoped to forget. Emily! He screamed again, willing his heart to stay steady, to keep racing toward her. The branches tangled around him like fingers trying to restrain him, but he pushed through, fueled by his desperation. Why didn't you listen? The echoes of his own past loomed over him, a heavy shroud. You could have saved me, a voice ridiculed in the distance, familiar yet foreign. It was a chorus of voices: his father's disappointment, his mother's silence, the friends who had walked away. Each voice wrapped around him like the forest's vines. Shut up. You don't own me. He shouted into the dark, defiantly clawing forward. Emily's cries pierced the air once more, desperate and raw. Anasol. Each syllable choked him. The urgency dragged him closer, but also let the shadows in deeper, feeding on his confusion, turning his heartbeat into a loud drum of doubt. Don't give in, he muttered under his breath, remembering the promise he'd made to her. The laughter they shared flared in his mind like distant fireworks, but now it mingled with the agonizing echoes of regret. Each flicker threatened to ignite the shadows around him, lighting his path but simultaneously revealing the monsters lurking just beyond the light. Anasol. Her voice trembled, slicing through the noise of his past. You're almost here. He focused on her, desperately trying to locate her beneath the towering trees, the underbrush alive with the rustling of unseen creatures. His breath came in rapid bursts, each inhalation tainted with the fear of failure. What if he never reached her? What if these shadows swallowed him whole? A sudden heaviness fell around him. The air thickened, nearly suffocating, and for a moment, his resolve wavered. Jeremiah's laughter danced around him, a cruel symphony echoing off the trees. You think you can save her? Face it, Anasol, you're just prolonging the inevitable. You're no hero. No. He yelled, shaking his head furiously. Not this time. The tension snapped, flickering like the dim light battling the dark shadows. Yet, facing the truth didn't mean just confronting Jeremiah, it meant staring down his own failures, his own demons. The memories began to materialize, swirling vivid around him like ghosts made flesh. An argument with Emily about choices, the moment he turned his back, the silence that followed. Anasol. She cried, the urgency igniting something deep within him, an ember long hidden. Maybe if he faced what haunted him, he could save her. But doubts flared anew, paralyzing his movements. What if his reckoning only brought destruction? Then in an instant, everything shifted. The smell of damp earth morphed into something acrid: sulfur. He stumbled back. Above him, the branches pulled back like a curtain, revealing eerie silhouettes, grinning faces that taunted him. Will you take their place? A shadowy figure whispered, stepping from the depths, its face twisting into a grotesque smile. Or will you walk away again? Anasol's heart thundered in his chest as he backed away, sweat pooling at his brow, dread weaving through him like vines. The darkness wrapped tighter. Emily's voice became a distant echo, fading into the rising storm of his own entrapment. As the figure lunged at him, he realized there was no escape. Embracing his past wouldn't just mean facing his regrets, but also confronting the price he might have to pay. And if he was willing to pay it, was it worth the cost? Emily! He shouted again, knowing in his soul her name was both his anchor and his burden. What would be the cost of his truth? Would he live to free her? Or would his own darkness seal their fates forever? The shadows engulfed him again, dragging him down as new, chilling whispers encircled him, ready to deliver their final blow. Even deeper he plunged, into a world he wasn't sure he could survive. Anisol's body slammed into the ground, the shock jarring every bone. The air was thick, nauseating, as he gasped for breath, tasting the bitterness of panic. The dark figure stood over him, its presence a chill that sent shivers racing across his skin. He could see its crooked features more clearly now, sunken eyes, a mouth twisted into a mocking grin. "Embrace the darkness," it hissed, each word dripping with disdain. "You think you can fight it? You've always been weak, Anisol." With every blink, more shadows swirled around, countless specters whispering in a cacophony only he could hear. "Leave me alone," he shouted, scrambling to push himself up. But the weight of the figure pressed him down, the memories clawing at his mind like desperate hands. In the distance, faintly, Emily's cries became clearer. "Anisol! I need you!" They pierced through the fog of doubt that threatened to consume him. The figure leaned closer, its breath hot and rancid. "She's not what you think. You know what happened. Why would she still want you?" "No." Anisol closed his eyes, trying to block the assault of voices, the memories that ripped at his heart. Emily didn't deserve to be pulled into this nightmare. He had let her down before, but that didn't mean it was over. He could still save her. "Your love is a curse." The figure sneered, mockingly echoing his past failures. "You'll just drag her into more darkness. You've seen what you are, what you'll always be." He felt a tightening in his chest, a roar of defiance surfacing like a wave. "I want to let you win," he rasped, forcing the words out. "You won't control me." With an adrenaline-fueled burst, he shoved himself upright, legs trembling. He didn't know how it was possible, but he could almost feel the warmth of Emily's light drawing him in. He took a step forward, the shadows clearing momentarily as he pushed through the thrumming barrier of doubt. The movement startled the figure back, its face now a mask of rage. "You think you can escape me? I am your past and you cannot outrun yourself." Sweat ran into his eyes as he pressed on, the shadows snapping at his heels. The whispers morphed into howls of despair, clawing at his resolve. "You know what you did. You let her down. You abandoned everyone. Stop it!" He screamed, shaking his head violently. The memory of Emily's laughter filled his ears like music, urging him forward. "I'll never abandon her again." The twisted figure extended its hand, tendrils of darkness wrapping around Anisol's ankles, pulling him down. "Then say goodbye to your past," it sneered, dragging him into a chasm hidden deep within the shadows, but his vision cleared long enough to glimpse a flicker of light, a small spark lighting up the dark amidst the suffocating despair. "Emily!" he shouted, determination igniting in his chest as he fought against the pulling void. "I'm coming for you." As he broke the pull, the shadows hissed in frustration, retreating as he rushed forward. The light grew brighter, pulsing like a beacon, leading him through the chaos. He had to find her. He had to save her. But with each step, Anisol felt the pulse of dread escalated. What if he found her too late? What if the darkness took her before he could reach her? The thought lodged like a thorn in his mind, driving him onward toward an impending doom. Then everything went quiet. When he finally broke through the trees into a small clearing, the reality before him froze his heart. Emily lay on the ground, surrounded by shadowy figures, their laughter chilling him to the core. He felt breathless, as if the air itself was siphoned out of him. In that moment, he understood the weight of his truth. Would he be strong enough to face the darkness that threatened both of them? Time slowed as he steadied himself, ready to confront the ultimate choice. To save her he would need to face everything he tried to forget. But would it break him instead? Would he have the courage to step into the very darkness he had fled from, not just for himself, but for Emily? And as he took a step into the clearing, hands trembling with uncertainty, the shadows turned their gaze on him, whispering secrets of despair. What would break first, his resolve or the chains of his past? The night had only just begun. Anisol's heart pounded in his chest, its rhythm a frantic reminder of the stakes at hand. The laughter of the shadowy figures slithered around him, mocking. Each echo twisted in his gut, echoing his fears, his failures. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself, but the air felt thick and heavy. The weight of the figures seemed to press down, something more than just fear, an oppressive reminder of all he'd ever done wrong. Emily! He shouted, the name tearing from his throat as desperation surged through him. The figures paused, their laughter subsiding into menacing whispers. For a moment, he thought he saw her stirring slightly, her face illuminated by the faintest glimmer of light that had somehow survived this encroaching darkness. The lead shadow stepped forward, drawing closer, revealing its grotesque features. You think you can save her? It taunted, its voice a rasp that dripped with disdain. Your love won't protect her from the inevitable. She belongs to the night now. No. Anisol's voice rang out like a clarion call. He stepped forward, defiance sparking in his core. You don't own her. You can't take away what isn't yours. With every step, it felt as if the very air was vibrating with his resolve. The shadows writhed, swirling around his ankles, their icy tendrils pulling at him. Let her go. He roared, feeling the heat of his anger reach a boiling point. The resonance of his voice rippled through the clearing as he fought against the dark grip, channeling every ounce of his strength into a raw, desperate energy. Behind him, whispers turned into a roaring tempest of despair, filling his ears with haunting regrets. You abandoned them. You'll abandon her. But Anisol gritted his teeth, focusing everything on Emily. He could see her, pale and fragile, eyes fluttering as if fighting against the bonds of the shadows. Emily. Hold on. I'm here. He could feel a pulse within him, a connection that reached out, stretching toward her. The figures hissed, their faces contorted, unable to fathom the resistance. You're too late. The darkness has already claimed her. A surge of panic filled Anisol. He could fall apart right there, give in to defeat, but he remembered her laughter, every shared moment that warmed his heart. He had lost so much. He wouldn't lose her too. With a fierce yell, he lunged forward, plunging into the writhing mass of shadows. An overwhelming pressure gripped him, but he pushed through, clawing his way toward Emily. The dark was unyielding, dense and suffocating, but the flicker of her light called to him, a steady beacon in the storm. He reached her, wrapping his arms around her shivering form. I won't let go, he promised, feeling her warmth against him cutting through the suffocating cold. The tidal wave of shadows reacted violently, recoiling like a wounded beast. No. You cannot take her from us. She must succumb. As their grip weakened momentarily, Anisol pulled Emily tightly against him, whispering through clenched teeth. Keep fighting, Em. Just hold on to me. But the shadows surged back with vengeance, wrapping around them like a vice. Their laughter morphed into rage. You think this is strength? Desperation is a deadly shackle. Anisol could feel Emily slipping, her breath quickening beneath the crushing weight of darkness. His heart raced further into a frenzy. They were running out of time. He closed his eyes, summoning every memory, every laugh, every moment of hope that they shared. They were more than just flickers of light, they were his shields against the night. We can't break. We're stronger together, he shouted, feeling a swell of energy surge through. Would that be enough to push the shadows back? Could love truly drown out despair? As the shadows roared, claws digging into reality, the ground beneath them trembled like it was alive. Something was changing, shifting. Would they be embraced by the light, or would they descend deeper into the abyss? The cacophony of whispers swirled crazily around them, but a fragile spark flickered. Was it hope, or merely an illusion? All that was left was one final push into the unknown. One final shot at redemption. What would it take to break free completely? The answer loomed, just tantalizingly out of reach. Would the darkness let them go? Onisol felt the pressure of the shadows closing in, squeezing the air from his lungs. Emily was slipping, and with each fleeting moment, he could see her light dimming further. He gritted his teeth, concentrating on his memories of her, those precious snippets of laughter and love, etched into his heart like battle scars. "I want to let you go," he cried out, tightening his grip around her, as if sheer will could pull them from the precipice of despair. The shadows hissed in fury, their forms twisting menacingly as their sharp claws grazed against his skin, burning like ice. "You think memories can save you?" one taunted, its voice dripping with malice. "They are chains that bind you here." "No." Onisol roared back, his voice unwavering, fierce enough to make the very night tremble. "They are fire. They fuel my fight." He pulled Emily closer, feeling her shivers ignite with fear, yet her eyes, their once vibrant spark, flickered back to life at his declaration. "Look at me, Em. Fight. Remember the time by the lake? Your laughter chased the darkness away." With that, a shift began. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if they feared the bond that flickered between them. The ground quaked beneath them, rumbling with unseen power. He could feel it, a swell of light growing stronger with each memory shared. Flickers of laughter surged through the air, and he could practically taste the warmth of hope that infused the darkness. "Onisol." Emily gasped, her voice barely a whisper, yet it was a melody drawing him back to life. I see it. The light, it's beautiful." He opened his eyes, and there was an ethereal glow rising from within her, illuminating the shadows that sought to consume them whole. The darkness seemed to shift and squirm, refusing to let them go, but their grasp was weakening. With renewed vigor, Onisol released the floodgate of memories, sharing them with fervor. "Remember the sunset? That golden hue? We've faced storms before, and we can do it again." Every word was a lifeline thrown to her, a reminder that they were more than just souls entwined in this struggle. They were warriors forged in love, unbreakable despite the odds. As the light intensified, the chilling laughter of the shadows turned to shrieks of fury. "No. You cannot leave. She is ours," they bellowed, thundering through the night like a wailing wind. "No," he shouted, pushing against the tide of darkness with everything he had. Suddenly, he felt Emily stirring, the warmth of her spirit breaking through the layers of cold despair. "Together," she echoed, and in that moment, the air crackled with electric possibility. The shadows shrieked furious, and the grass beneath their feet began to sparkle, igniting with radiant energy as if rebelling against the cold. With a mighty leap, Onisol and Emily thrust into the blinding light together. It wrapped around them like the fiercest embrace, pushing away the wisps of darkness that had constricted them. But in the midst of their exhilarating escape, a heavy, gnawing entity pulled at the edges of Onisol's consciousness. It was a voice, deeper, more insidious than the shadows. "You can't leave, you have a score to settle." Their momentum faltered for a flicker of a second, a whisper of doubt creeping in. Shadows swirled and coiled around their feet, threatening to drag them back into the abyss. Emily gasped, and Onisol's heart fell. What did it mean? What score? Clenching his teeth, he shook his head, unwilling to let despair freeze his veins. "Fight. Whatever they say, don't listen. We're so close." But the voice continued to resonate like a drumbeat in the back of his mind. Memories deep and buried clawed their way to the surface, all the losses, the betrayals he thought he had buried. And as the bright light pulsed fiercely around them, Onisol trembled with the weight of an unacknowledged truth lurking underneath it all. What lay beyond this fight? Could they truly escape, or was there a reckoning waiting just beyond the light? Dread washed over him even as hope flickered. Would they break free, or would the night claim them both? Forever. The light surged and cascaded around Anasol and Emily, illuminating the shadows that had clawed at their heels. But just as hope ignited, the whisper emerged again, sinister and smooth. You can't outrun your past. You must confront it. Anasol's chest tightened. Each accusation, each feeling of guilt hit him like a punch, but he locked eyes with Emily, and in that gaze, he found something he hadn't felt in too long: strength. We can't surrender, he breathed, his voice low but steady, shaking off the specter of fear. Tell me you're still with me. He urged, squeezing her hand with a fierceness born from desperation. I'm here, Anasol. Her grip tightened around him, warmth flowing back into his veins. The shadows writhed, dancing with rage, sensing the renewed energy of their resolve. Together, she echoed, as if claiming their fate could bend reality itself, but as they pressed forward, the weight of the darkness loomed larger, saturating the air with suffocating dread. Figures formed from shadows slunk closer, their gnashing laughter engulfing them with visceral fear. You think you can leave without paying the price? The debts you owe must be settled. They hissed in a chorus of corrupted whispers, and doubt rippled through Anasol. The debts we owe, he mused aloud, the words heavy in his mouth. Memories surged to the forefront, faces and voices of those he had lost, those he failed. Panic clutched at their hearts. He could feel Emily's pulse racing like wildfire, matching the tumult of emotions inside him. For every wrong you left unrighted, they will take you instead. Came the creeping hiss from the shadows, shattering their solid resolve. No. Anasol shouted, forcing through the tide of despair. They don't own us. He plunged at the encroaching darkness, adrenaline roaring through him as he charged forward, pulling Emily with him. Just ahead, a crack of light pierced the black swirl, another beacon, larger, more potent than before. Anasol's breath caught at the glimmer of radiant warmth in the distance. Look, Emily. We can reach it. We have to push through, together. The shadows grew darker, wilder, howling faces twisted in fury. You cannot escape your history. Face your reckoning. Their anguished shrieks echoed among the trees, reverberating deep within him. Anasol. They're right behind us. Emily gasped, terror flashing in her eyes as shadows lunged at their backs. But he was filled with a new resolve. He couldn't let fear cripple them now. I love you. He shouted, letting every ounce of his affection blaze forth, igniting like 1,000 candles in the dark. He felt energy surge between them, wrapping around them like an unbreakable shield. I love you too. She cried, and the words lit their path as it intertwined with memories, joy dancing beneath the light of the sun, trust forged in laughter and comfort. The bond thrummed with vibrancy, pushing back the shadows clinging to their heels. Suddenly, he understood. It was love that would free them. It didn't chase away fear but carried them through it. We're not defined by our past, he exclaimed as they charged forward. We're shaped by our choices moving forward. As they sprinted for the light, they outpaced the darkness. It lashed out like a beast in agony, but Anasol's heart felt fierce. The resistance filled them with strength, the light blazing brighter with every step they took. Almost there. He shouted, though they were still being tugged in every direction. Anasol saw familiar faces waver in the depths of the shadows, those he had lost. I'm sorry. He called to them. I promise to do better. The words flared with overwhelming significance, lifting the burden from his heart. Anasol. Emily cried, and the urgency in her voice was unmistakable. Now. With one last push, they launched themselves into the radiant crack of light, leaving the darkness screaming behind them. A resounding silence enveloped them, and the shadows fractured, dissipating like fog under a morning sun. They emerged on the other side, breathless and trembling, surrounded by the warmth of hope and the soft glow of dawn's first light. The oppressive darkness hung at the edge of the woods but was nothing more than a memory now, a fading echo of despair. Anasol glanced down at Emily, her eyes sparkling with life. "I thought I lost you," he whispered, and he gripped her hand tightly. "I'm right here," Emily assured, her voice steady. "We made it." A wave of comfort washed over him. They were not just alive but renewed. He had faced the shadows and emerged victorious, guided by love and truth. Together, they walked beyond the trees and into the village, facing their neighbors, their faces as bright as the dawn breaking around them. This was their moment. This was the dawn of a new beginning, a chance to rebuild, to heal, and to honor the past, not by forgetting but by embracing every piece of it. "Anasol, are you ready?" Emily asked. "Ready to face whatever comes next." He held her hand tight, feeling the warmth and strength in their bond, a flame ignited by all that they faced and all that love could overcome. As twilight receded into morning, the shadows behind them seemed to retreat further still, as if acknowledging their surrender to love, truth, and the courage necessary to navigate the journey ahead. And with that, they stepped forward, ready to embrace their future together, stronger than ever before. Now is the time for you to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Flood the comments section with your reactions, insights, and theories about this epic conclusion. And don't forget to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this powerful finale. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Your involvement makes all the difference.